instead of calling, daddy, we're going to call her mommy now. My firstborn has asked me, like, why do you sit on the toilet, but mommy doesn't? And I'll say, like, we have different parts going on, but that doesn't make mommy any less your mommy.
Welcome back to Other People's Lives. I'm Joe Santagato.
I'm Greg Dybec.
For anyone out there that would like to be a guest on our show, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and today we're speaking to a woman who reached out with the subject line, "My wife is transgender." So her partner, who originally identified as her husband, transitioned and is now her wife. And she's going to talk about that transition, how it affected their relationship, and what it is like raising two children. So we've got the guest on the line, and thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. Can you tell us about your relationship when your partner did identify as your husband, just to kind of set the tone of, who they were?
Yeah, so actually we went to high school together. We met when we were 15 and have actually been dating since then.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, also, excuse me if you hear me sniffling or anything, I'm just getting over a cold, so.
No problem.
Yeah, so we met in high school. And we started dating in 10th grade. We were both 15. And it was just kind of a normal, teenage relationship, kind of awkward, kind of weird. But as we got older, we lived together freshly when we were 18. We've stayed together. So we figured we had a job actually at the same place, moved in together. And I got pregnant with our first child shortly after my 19th birthday. So that kind of just kickstarted our lives. And then it was COVID. That was the word I was trying to think of.
Mm-hmm.
So we got put into lockdown. And then January 2022, I had our second child. And we had a really, normal relationship. We had the two kids and the cats and like kind of the standard nuclear family. And then what actually ended up happening is September of 2022, there was a COVID outbreak at my husband at the time's job.
Okay.
So they ended up spending 2 weeks quarantined away from us and our kids, obviously. So it was after those 2 weeks that my partner came home and said, "Hey, I've been away for a while. Why don't we take a drive and just spend some time, the two of us?" And I thought it was kind of weird because they came at me with that kind of like, I have something to talk to you about energy. And I was like, I'm getting dumped. You've spent 2 weeks away from me. You're done with me. You know, whatever. And we took the drive and we just had a nice chat. And then my partner ended up saying, so this is something that I've come to realize after the 2 weeks we spent together. They said, I think I'm a woman. And I was completely shocked. I just literally went, what? Like that was my only thing because I thought I was getting dumped.
Mm-hmm.
So that was complete opposite to what I thought the talk was going to be.
Yeah, that must have been extremely shocking. So can you just talk about those feelings a bit more when they told you this? Like, did you take it seriously at first? And what was the initial reaction?
Yeah, my first reaction was just genuine shock. Like I didn't have words. I just kind of sat there with what I assume was kind of a dumb look on my face, just staring, because it was not at all what I expected. And not that it wasn't, not to be stereotypical, but like my partner is a carpenter and like a trade carpenter. So always been the person who's like, oh, your sink is broken, I'll fix it. Oh, your whatever is broken, I'll fix it. Like just those manly, in quotes.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like a real like man of the house things. Works with his hands.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no any indication other than this conversation where you felt like maybe this was something that was possible?
No, not really. I mean, my partner has always been openly bisexual, and I think we're both like that, and that'll kind of come into play with my reaction and how we ended up staying together. But we've always just kind of been open to loving a person instead of a body, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So, that was like maybe the only minor indication, but that was the talk we had at 15 years old, and jump 10 years later, we're 25 now. So this was we're coming up on 3 years ago. So we were both 22 when she came out. But yeah, there was no indication really that I saw in my life. And even after she told me, I looked back and I'm like, I'm trying to think, was there anything? No, not really.
Well, it's wild because you also have such a long history to look back at. I mean, 15
exactly.
being high school sweethearts. And then I'm sure it makes it even more shocking in that moment when you feel like you know a person probably almost as well as they know themselves. Do you remember how that conversation unfolded and kind of what was discussed, in the car after they came out and said that to you?
Well, I was silent for a little while, and then I just said, like, so what do you want to do? Do you want to continue the relationship? Do you want to kind of take your time to yourself for a little while? Like, I was kind of completely oblivious to what to do and what to say. And she ended up just saying, no, like, I want to be together if you want to be together. I understand that this is something that you might have to consider and think about for a little while. And we kind of just talked about it, how she wanted the surgeries, the breast surgery and the bottom surgery, and how she kind of just wanted help to figure out what it felt like to be a woman, like to be a woman. And I think really the conversation between us steered into like, what can I do to teach you and like help you? Because I didn't know what to say. And like I said earlier, I've always been more in love with just a person. And that's not to say like I kind of felt guilty because I got in this state of mind of, did I kind of put you in a position where you can't live who you want to be about my partner?
Mm-hmm.
Since we got together so young, had kids just a year out of high school. Like we have 2 children. And so I was like, I felt like I held her back because maybe if we weren't together, maybe if I didn't get pregnant, she would have been able to live that life without kind of having to put it on the back burner.
Right. Is that something that you guys have discussed?
Yeah. So like I said, we're actually coming up on 3 years that she's been out to me now in September.
Is she fully transitioned?
Surgery wise, no, because we're in another country. So it does take a little while through like the government to get approved for the surgery. There's a long process for that. She's on hormones and, is about as far as she can be without having surgery.
Okay. So it seems like you were pretty supportive right away. Like even that first conversation turned towards the next steps that you can continue to take as a couple and you being supportive. Were there ever moments of doubt in that early stages that the relationship could still work out?
Not between us, as in like we didn't fight about it or anything. It was kind of the doubt, like I mentioned, the guilt in my mind. I was the one who was kind of struggling with not so much like not seeing it coming, but feeling bad that I kind of changed, like my pregnancies changed the trajectory. Oh my goodness, the trajectory of our lives.
Right.
Sure.
And but we never fought about it. Like I was always supportive, and at first I didn't know if she wanted to continue the relationship because I loved her so much, like, and still do obviously love her so much as a person that I kind of just didn't matter to me. I didn't care who she was, just that, like, physically, just that same person was still there.
And did your lives change in a drastic way after this? Or did it kind of feel like more of the same, but now I'm identifying the way that I feel most comfortable and it's kind of like business as usual?
It was a little bit of both. Like, we definitely lost people in our lives, unfortunately. Well, I guess not really, unfortunately.
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
But there was a
anyway.
strong reaction from friends and family.
Yeah, my family is very supportive. They always have been. It's my grandparents. My grandfather has Alzheimer's, and my grandmother is just like, they're both in their 70s. So they're the only people who I think sit on that border of like understanding and not understanding. And they're very like on the surface understanding, but they have a lot of questions, you know? But we did like lose some friends. My wife's family is very supportive, but also like, again, kind of stereotypical, like they're country people. So they're kind of like, we don't know what all that's about, and like, whatever, do your thing, but like, we're gonna make jokes and like whatever.
Okay.
And we've just gotten used to it because it's family, and you know, it is what it is. We don't see them very often. But we still love them. It's mainly just her siblings. Her parents are very supportive, and they're all supportive, but like still make the jokes. And every once in a while, I can't tell like 50-50 if it's serious or not.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But like,
of course.
our lives in our home didn't change drastically. It kind of just continued being what it was being, except that now I had an extra person to go into the makeup store with me and like the clothing store with me.
What was it jarring at all, like as the transition happened and like she really began to present as a woman?
It's it's hard to say because she is still kind of what you would consider like a butch woman. She, you know, has changed somewhat physically, and like her look is different, but she's still like the kind of stereotypical man of the house, as I said earlier, like still the fixer, still the person who wants to go and build a house on a weekend. So like, I don't know. It's yes and no. Like, things were different, but things were kind of the same.
Right. It sounds like what you're saying is, of course, the physical appearance has changed a bit, but as far as the roles in your home, it feels like that is more the same.
Yeah, it wasn't very jarring because like there was no big change, especially where we live, without like naming locations. It's a longer process. So I think it took a year for her to even be approved for hormones. So like, she had to go through like a sit down with therapists kind of session thing. And then obviously she would go to the therapist and sit for 3 hours, and like they report back to the health clinics and stuff to get approved for hormones. So she would come home to me and kind of tell me all of the information that she was unpacking in the therapy. And so it's not, besides her initial coming out to me, I kind of just got slowly introduced to it. That first reaction was kind of shocking, but then the rest of it was kind of just like dipping into a pool, you know?
And how has this transition been, you know, while you're raising children? Is this something that, I know that your children, I'm assuming, are, you know, very young, so it's not like, you know, probably not something that's very pressing at the moment, but is there a plan to talk with them about it, or has the conversation happened? Has anything changed as far as that goes?
The conversation kind of just happened naturally, to be honest. Our firstborn was 2.5-ish when my wife came out. And then our secondborn was 8 months old. So there was kind of no change. We just changed up. Instead of calling, you know, daddy, we're going to call her mommy now. And Yeah, my firstborn was 2.5, but a very like fast talker and fast thinker. So she had questions at first that she didn't understand, and we had to kind of adapt to explain it age appropriately.
Mm-hmm.
My secondborn's kind of grown up with it, not knowing anything else.
Right.
But our firstborn is 5 now, and they ask questions, kind of just like.
What are some of the
bat.
questions, if you can recall, or just like the curiosities? Like, I'm just interested from the child's perspective as it's kind of unfolding in front of them.
I'm trying to think. Our firstborn is so smart and witty. She's like well beyond her years. So, she kind of just asks random stuff. Like, why does mommy do this and you don't do that? And asking me, for instance, sitting on the toilet. It's an odd conversation thing to bring up, but yeah. My firstborn has asked me, like, why do you sit on the toilet, but mommy doesn't always? And I'll say, like, in the most age appropriate way, like, we have different parts going on, and but that doesn't make mommy any less your mommy. Mommy's still a girl. She's just got different things going on. And so those kind of conversations have come up, and they're a little awkward to navigate because you just like in this conversation, you never know how to word it right.
Mm-hmm.
But like I got very lucky with a kid who loves to ask the good questions.
Right.
So it was kind of just easier for us, honestly.
Okay, before we get back to this conversation, we do have a sponsor, and that is Squarespace. Okay, Squarespace is a lovely platform that's going to help you build professional-looking websites in just a short amount of time. They have these great templates that you can just click on, and it populates this website for you that looks already amazing, and you just have to switch out the pictures and the text to make it your own. So they speed up that process unbelievably. They also have a lot of tools that are going to help you optimize your traffic so that you can monitor where your traffic is coming from and where to put more of the marketing dollars towards or anything like that. There's a lot of features that they have on this website that are going to help you have the best first impression through your website as best as you can. We personally use Squarespace for all the websites that we build over here. So, if you go check out any of our websites, those are all Squarespace, powered by Squarespace. So, it's for anyone out there that would like to give it a go. You can go to squarespace.com/OPL and you will get 10% off of your first purchase of a website or a domain if you use that code OPL. Okay, so that is squarespace.com/OPL and use the code OPL for 10% off of your first purchase of a website or a domain.
Our next sponsor is Factor. Factor offers delicious chef-prepared meals that are delivered right to your door. I'm using Factor right now. I've got the Greek chicken and tomato penne here. Delicious. I've been eating this all week because I'm super busy and I don't have a lot of time to cook, especially for lunches. So having this and being able to heat it up in just minutes has honestly saved me a ton of time, and the food is delicious. You get to choose from a wide selection of weekly meals. So, for example, this is only 460 calories. There's 31 grams of protein. So that's what I'm looking for. And Factor has a ton of options that are delicious. This also has garlic broccoli in it. They have a bunch of premium seafood options that you can choose as well, and that is at no extra cost. The things about Factor that I love are that it's never frozen. These are always fresh meals, and 97% of customers say that Factor helped them live a healthier life. So you can get easy to prep meals on the go that are actually healthy and have the nutrition that you're looking for. So eat smart at factormeals.com/OPL50off and use code OPL50off to get 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's free breakfast for an entire year. Just go to factormeals.com/OPL50off and use the code OPL50off. So you'll get 50% off your first box plus that free breakfast for an entire year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. The offer is only valid for new Factor customers with the code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. Now back to the show. Yeah, right. I guess when they're sort of starting the conversation for you. But as this progresses, and I assume with like approvals and surgeries, there will be more prominent physical changes. So, how do you two, as parents, plan on approaching that when just like visually everything becomes even more obvious while your children are getting older and having, a better understanding?
We never want to like hide it at all. Even my wife, she doesn't care like who knows. She'll be open, honest to anybody. Obviously, we're still careful, but um I think it's just going to be something again like if it comes up in conversation, if it's naturally brought up, we'll let it happen. As my wife goes to get other surgeries, we'll probably say, mommy's getting a surgery to make her feel happier or whatever. And obviously, age dependent, as they get older, they'll know more and more about it. But we don't really plan on it being secretive at all. We plan on being very open so they kind of go for the ride with us and can understand without feeling left out.
Mm-hmm. And you said you lost like some people in your lives. Can you just talk about that a little bit? Like, have you had some friends that are just not supportive that you don't speak to anymore because of this?
Yeah. So it was a childhood friend of my wife's, actually. When she came out first, she came out to me, her childhood friend, and then like a couple of people in our families, just the first little bit of it. And my friend didn't know yet. And I was actually on my way to go and like explain it to her and tell her. And when I started to tell her, she said, "Oh yeah, your wife's childhood friend told me that already." And like she wasn't disrespectful about it at all, but she said, "Your wife's childhood friend did tell me about that already." And like said not to tell you that they told me, but I thought that was extremely disrespectful and I couldn't keep that from you.
Mm.
So we confronted them and they kind of just tried to play it off and say like, "Oh, I didn't think it was a big deal." But in the initial conversation, I was there. I know my wife multiple times said like, "Don't tell anybody else. Even if you think we may have told them, just keep it to yourself."
Mm-hmm.
And so we kind of had that conversation with them. Then the friendship sort of slowly trailed off and they did something else that was kind of unforgivable that has nothing to do with us. It has to do with somebody else. But that was kind of just the final nail in the coffin. Like, we don't need you in our life at all.
Yeah. And like you said before, you said unfortunately, but then you corrected yourself to maybe fortunately. And I'm sure that's something that happens in this process of just shedding, people who just wouldn't necessarily fit into your life or lifestyle now. So, maybe it is for the better. Curious how you and your wife deal with judgment that comes from strangers. I don't know if this is something you've experienced, but if you're going out and receiving looks, comments, if there's fear around as your children get older and, you're in school settings with other parents and things like that, what's your mentality around, dealing with that sort of judgment?
I think the worst people for it are strangers, like total and utter strangers, because they just have no regard. They think they're not going to see you again. So that's the worst that we've encountered. We've gone to grocery stores and my wife will go to a bathroom, and that's a very taboo topic also, obviously. But, where we live, I've never heard anybody complain about it. I feel like we live in a very progressive area and like we don't have a lot of issues here with it, except when she goes to bathrooms in public. And we have had some people try to kick us out of grocery stores, and it wasn't even workers. It was like other shoppers. They've tried to tell us like, you need to leave. We've had workers who have come up and had to ask a lot of questions, and Yeah, we've dealt with a lot of gnarly looks and stuff like that, and we kind of just vent about it to each other, say that person was so stupid and I can't believe they did that. Um, but again, it's like, it's my wife's really not adamant on hiding it. She doesn't care if people can stare at her and say, oh, that's definitely a trans woman. What we're doing doesn't really bother other people. We're not bad people just because she was born in the wrong body. So we kind of just let it roll off while we're there, and then we vent about it to each other because we don't ever want to be that person that makes a scene in public. It can create an even worse image for people to use. So
Yeah.
dealing with it is kind of just ignoring it in public, unfortunately.
Yeah. And with like bathrooms specifically, is it if you're in a setting where there's like just a, like not an all gender restroom and just men and women's, your wife is going into the women's and people have a problem with that?
Yeah. And sometimes people don't say anything. We've probably only ever had one. We've definitely only ever had one big situation with a bathroom. Yes, she's going into the women's room, but always going into like, I don't know if you've ever seen a women's restroom, but it's only stalls,
Right. Right.
It's not like she's like wiggling around on the floor. She's just sitting down on a toilet and like leaving, washing her hands. So
Yeah.
people have kind of seen her at the sink or walk in and given nasty looks or said like, get out. But there's not much we can do.
No, yeah. And I guess it's the hard thing too with that, and the scary thing is, maybe it's easier for you guys to brush off. I don't know if this has ever happened when your children were present. I know for me personally, that would probably be a fear of mine, of like the children witnessing a stranger or someone, like outraged or saying something derogatory.
Yeah. So sorry to cut you off. I didn't mean to.
No, go ahead.
The one time that it was kind of bad was with the kids at a Walmart. And I kind of just was like, I'll see you in the car, and just took the kids outside because it wasn't worth it to stand there with them. I don't ever want them to kind of be subject to that kind of hate. And I know it's unfortunately kind of inevitable, but I'll keep them clear of it as much as I can.
Yeah, I guess that's all you can really do in those situations. I mean, you can't control how other people are going to react to that, and whatever their reasons are or whatever, you just kind of have to, at times, remove yourself, or like you said, remove the children too, because I mean, who knows? It's a scary thing for sure. But yeah, we definitely appreciate you coming on and talking to us and sharing your point of view. I think that it's nice to hear. It's nice for people to hear this perspective, because I also just feel like it's something that a lot of people who live in certain parts of whatever country or just don't live in a place where they see different people or things like this happening. And I think some people's initial reactions is to think negatively about things that are different, which is just not always the case, or not always the best course of action. So any opportunity to have a conversation and talk about someone's perspective from the other side, I think is helpful. So we do appreciate you coming on and sharing that.
Yeah, thank you. Because that was part of the reason why I actually sent in the submission in the first place, is I saw somebody talking online about it was somebody talking about Kris Jenner and Caitlyn Jenner and saying, like, I'm scared of marriage because what if this happens to me? And I wanted to share my perspective as the person, I guess, that it happened to. Mm-hmm. Because, at the end of the day, that person's not gone. That soul and everything is still in there. I think that using celebrities as the only kind of point of reference we have for that gives it a bad rap. So I kind of just wanted to share a real personal experience.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting point. And it's true when you look at celebrities as the reference point, like you said, and these are people under so much scrutiny in public eye anyway. And for you, like, yes, this was shocking because it's not something you expected, but it's just interesting to hear that it's someone you've had a relationship with so long. So for you, it is still this person that you've known, that you've been with for all these years. And then just sort of immediately, like, the dynamic that changed is that this is now your wife, and she's identifying differently, but you're still navigating marriage in the same way, and parenthood, and just the mundane tasks of life. And like you said, it's just sort of like a normal story. It's not something you expected, but it is your reality now. And it seems like you're both just really going with the flow, for lack of a better term, and like accepting everything as it is, and just so no, it is a really important and interesting perspective, so we really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, again, thank you so much for coming on and taking the time, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.
You too, guys. Thank you again so much. I really appreciate it.
No problem.
Thanks. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Dude, I can't even imagine dealing with all of that at the same time. Because think about this too, right? Like, I don't think that people who have like an issue with transgender people, I don't think that they consider the fact that, like, not only do I have to do this thing where I have to go around and tell everyone, like, I'm making a major change and this is who I've always felt like, and I've struggled with this for so long, and I'm finally building up the courage to, like, be myself and share this with you and blah, blah, blah. That alone is fucking terrifying. But then also have to deal with the fact that, like, I know once I do that, like, fucking I can't control the rest of the world, and for whatever reason they have like a massive issue with me now. Like, I'm putting myself in a dangerous position almost in society to be open to scrutiny and all this stuff. Like, it's not just like, not only do I have to do this thing personally to the personal things in my life, but now I have to deal with the rest of, like, the world assuming the worst about me. And I'm just trying to make myself happy. Like, it's just like, what are we doing? And also on the bathroom thing, why don't we do this? Because this seems like an easy one to me. I don't know. Have you guys ever gone into a place and they have separate stalls for everybody?
Oh, like a restaurant that's just like a hallway of stalls?
It's all like, you get your own little personal fucking room. There's no men's room and girls' room. Why do we need that? You get your own room.
That would be a great change just for society.
I don't like going into a fucking men's restroom. This shit is disgusting. But if I have my own little, like, room where I got like a little sink and I got my toilet, bro, I'm good. Like, I got my little setup. I'm chilling.
Staying there all day.
Yeah. Like, oh my God. We're worried about, all these things and the potential and blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not necessary. And I get that there may be these situations where there's bad things that happen and some people are bad people and there's always exceptions and people go, what are we talking about though? Like, we're talking about like such a minuscule thing that's going on within already a tiny group of people. Like, to assume that everyone is horrible and your gut and initial reaction has to be this very negative thing is just ridiculous.
And that's why throwing kids in, like, really puts it in perspective too. And that, they can be out in public and just be receiving hate and backlash with, like, complete disregard that there's a 5-year-old standing there taking that all in, is like, that's scary to hear. And we've learned from the show too. Like, we've spoken to transgender people who, like, live incognito, who completely hide the fact they are, who have disowned their own family and friends to not even come out, to have their identity, like, come out as transgender because it's so scary, or they're scared of physical violence and things like that. But no, I really appreciate her coming on. And like she said, like, here's something that happened to me. Also, by the way, this always happens on the show, but it's like, these couples were just like, they're soulmates. Like, they're just meant to be together.
Yeah.
Like, she really, to within that first conversation, immediately, like, okay, I'm shocked, but also, like, how can I support you? Is this my fault? All right, let me teach, like, I can teach you how to be a
initial
woman.
reaction. The initial reaction was like, oh fuck, did I delay this thing for you?
Right. So good for them for finding each other in the first place. And, I'm sure it's going to be difficult. Children are going to get older. Children are going to be in a school setting. Questions are going to be asked. It's not a one and done conversation as parents for them. It's something that they're going to have to keep revisiting and talking about and progressing through. So definitely wish them the best of luck. But they seem to just be trying to run a normal household and do the best that they can.
Yeah. And I just want to say also, I'm not going to make this a long thing, but for people that go out there in the world and just like yell at trans people and they like go online and it's like their whole fucking personality is trying to bring down trans people, you're not a fucking hero, dude. Like you're not this person who's like protecting society or doing whatever. Like you're just a fucking loser, bro. Like you're just a fucking loser, honestly. And if you want to point to these very specific niche examples of someone being a creep and also being trans, great. Those are bad people, sure. That doesn't mean that all trans people are fucking these like creeps, dude. Like there are people who are white or who are straight and whatever. They exist in every single form of person. For I don't know why the people who are so against it and are in person feeling like I have to yell at this person in the middle of a fucking Walmart for no reason. You're not a hero. Like you're
just doing damage.
Loser.
You're doing damage,
loser,
especially
bro.
if there's kids are yeah.
You're just a loser. And I just wanted to say that. But that's all. Thank you. For anyone out there who would like to be a guest on our show, hit us up. Our email is oplpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, guys. Don't be fucking losers, like Joe said. Okay? And you can follow us on OPL Podcast on Instagram, on TikTok. We thank you guys for supporting the show, the community, all the comments. We're reading it. We love it. And new episodes every other week. So we'll see you then.
See you next time.